Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I didn't get another video posted at the end of last month. I meant to, and I was recording one. I recorded it about 3 times, but I just kept deciding it wasn't right. It wasn't the time. I didn't want to do it. So I didn't get a last video up at the end of last month. I did post a patrons only exclusive vlog, basically covering the same stuff I was gonna say in my little video update. And that had always been the plan. I was gonna do the entire editing clips together, behind the scenes vlog for my Patreon. And then I was just gonna update you kind of generally verbally in just a seated talk at the camera vlog like this. It just didn't end up working out. So I am recording this video right now, right after I have just finished recording my pagan perspective video for today. It's about circle casting, so it's the exact same background, exact same outfit, everything. I literally just finished recording it, started recording this. I have the same mug of tea and everything. So if you want to go watch that video, that'll be up as well. Let me just tell you now what was going on at the end of last month. So I mentioned in my vlog at the end of August that we had a bunch of random stuff happen and go wrong in our life and with the house, including one night when it was storming a lot more than usual. We woke up in the morning to find that our basement had flooded. Not a lot, whenever somebody says that, I immediately picture knee-deep water. That's not what it was. It was just a few inches, but that's enough. We had to rip out the carpet and everything in the finished part of our basement. And, everything else just had to be moved out of there, and most things were fine. Nothing really got ruined. It just had to be cleaned off to make sure that it wouldn't, go moldy or anything like that. But most things did not, get destroyed. But we don't want to put anything else back down there until we have the basement looked at. So we're just staying out of the basement for now, except for the laundry room, which is also down there, but it's in a separate room. So we have a dehumidifier down there, everything like that, but we're just not going down there if we don't have to. And we were going to originally make that finished basement room downstairs into our studio space because it's a much bigger space than the bedroom that is currently our office. And it would just make more sense to have everything down there, my partner's music stuff and video stuff and the gaming stuff and just furniture, everything. It would have a lot more room down there. So that was our plan. But since the basement flooded and we're now not really sure what's going on with that yet, and we don't know how long it's going to take for us to figure that out, or how much it's going to cost, or how long it's going to take us to save up that money to do whatever needs done, we decided we still have to go forward with giving ourselves more room to have the stuff in the space that it needs to be. So we decided to just rearrange the entire main floor of our house. So that's what I was doing at the end of September, and there is a vlog on my Patreon. It's exclusive for patrons only. For patrons only. $1 a month pledge or more. It's available to all of my patrons at any level. It is a daily vlog, clips of me going around the house and rambling about all this stuff and my thought process and where I moved this table and what I did with that altar. And so if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's on my Patreon. So it ends up being 3 days of vlog footage in that vlog. And each one of those days, I was trying to record something like this, telling you just what was going on, but then I was like, I'm not going to have a chance to edit it, so why bother? And then by the next day, I'm like, well, now we've done more things, so I want to say this part too, so I was just like, scrap it, I'm not doing it. So I focused on that stuff, and also catching up on reading. I am mostly on track with my reading progress goals. I'm a little behind on, I wanted to be done with chapter 5 of Drawing Down the Moon by Margot Adler by the end of September, but I was running a little bit behind on chapter 4, and then I'm again running a little bit behind on chapter 5 because each one of those chapters is 50 pages, and it seems like I've been getting through around 20 pages of that in a week, along with all the other chapters of other books that I'm also trying to read within each week, because I have several books that I'm trying to finish by the end of the year. I did a video last month talking about my reading plan for the rest of the year, so if you haven't seen that, I'll probably link it at the end of this video in the end screen, and you can check it out on my channel as well. It's just a few videos ago, September 2020. But I noticed that I was running a little bit behind on chapter 4, but I was able to catch up with it the next week and then start chapter 5, so I started a little bit behind. But currently I still have 30 more pages of that, and I've read Drawing Down the Moon before, years ago, but I'm rereading it now and taking more thorough notes on it. I don't think I took notes before at all when I read it. And I'm also reading Triumph of the Moon. I'm reading How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. I'm reading The Spiral Dance by Starhawk with people as a book club through my Patreon. I'm kind of blanking on the rest right now. Oh, I'm rereading part of what I had already read before of Wicca by Ethan Doyle White. I read part of it last year, but I didn't finish the book, and I don't really remember all of it, and I wasn't necessarily taking notes on everything, so I want to restart it from the beginning, even though I've read like the first part before. So I'm starting my reread of that this month, and then everything else is kind of in my reading plan. So there's 5 or 6 different books that I'm working on every month, and so I'm breaking down whatever my monthly goal was into weekly goals to try to figure it out. So yesterday I spent a lot of time looking at that and kind of rearranging a few things, because I noticed that, I still have 30 pages left in chapter 5 of Drawing Down the Moon, but then the next couple of chapters are a little bit shorter. So I should definitely be able to finish those chapters within a week's time. But then the chapter after that, chapter 8, is a little bit longer again, so I might actually just want to make that span 2 weeks instead of expecting myself to read a chapter that's twice as long in 1 week when I have had trouble doing that with chapter 4 and 5, So I'm just kind of like trying to keep up with myself and like track, how have I been doing? Have I been able to meet these goals every week, or are certain things that I'm working on 3 times as many pages as I thought they were, and that's obviously taking me longer. Whereas, like, I finally finished chapter 1 of Triumph of the Moon, and it took forever. This is a very long chapter, and it feels very difficult to get through, but then chapter 2 and chapter 3 are very short. So I got through chapter 2 quick and easy. So chapter 3 is supposed to be for this week, and it's even shorter than chapter 2, so I feel like that's not going to take me any time at all, so I can get that out of the way maybe even today. And then maybe start on to chapter 4 of that, or maybe just spend my time trying to catch up on Drawing Down, because I want to finish Drawing Down and How to Be an Anti-Racist and rereading the Wicca book and all of these other things that I'm reading by the end of 2020, whereas I know that even if I read a few more chapters than I was intending to with Triumph of the Moon by Ronald Hutton, I won't be finishing that book by the end of 2020 anyway. If I go according to my plan, I will only get through chapter 6 of Triumph of the Moon by the end of the year. And if something goes a little faster and I actually get through chapter 8, cool, but I'm still not going to finish the book by the end of the year. So I'm tempted to like read more of that because it's going quicker now, but I really want to stick with the ones that I'm like, I want to finish it by the end of 2020, because there are several books that I want to read in 2021. Books that I planned to read in 2020, but when quarantine happened and everybody was doing book clubs, I wanted to participate in all of that, and so I ended up with this stack of like 10 books that I was reading this year. None of them were, other than like Spiral Dance, none of them were the books that I thought I was gonna be reading this year. So in 2021, I want to read some of that other stuff. And plus there are new books that I'd like to read. There's all kinds of stuff. I also just got a new tarot deck with some of my birthday money from my mom. It's gonna be one that like, it's not just the typical tarot system. Like, it's in a tarot format, major arcana, minor arcana, 78 cards total. but the system for how they chose the artwork for everything is very different and very complex. So I will definitely want to be talking more about that later when I get a chance to really go through it all, because right now I've only had it for a few days and I haven't had a lot of time to just like work with it yet. So yeah, and my process for like how I go about learning to work with a deck is quite lengthy in the first place. So yeah. Speaking of tarot decks, though, I did get a new deck last year that I am offering for doing readings for people for the first time this season. So on my blog, which is always linked in the description of my videos, I have a page where I list my readings offerings, and that changes seasonally. So for September, October, and November, that is my autumnal quarter, autumn quarter, because it is autumn here in the northern hemisphere where I live. So that's when I use my Halloween tarot, Halloween oracle, and then the other tarot deck that I put up there for this season is the Oddments tarot. I did a video on it when I got it last year. It's a collage art deck, and it's by an artist and musician from Georgia in the United States. And they are friends with the directors of the Buckland Museum where I work, which is why I got a hold of a copy of this deck. And I've been working with it myself throughout the past year since I got it, and now I'm offering it for readings for other people for the first time. So check that out on my blog if you like. I am also back working at the Buckland Museum now. I worked this past weekend for the first time since February, because of course they were shut down for a few months during quarantine. And then when they were ready to come back, my car was not and still is not in drivable shape. Yeah, at first, like over the summer, we didn't have either of our vehicles. I think I talked about this in my vlog at the end of August too, and that my partner was riding their bike to and from work, and then the bike got a flat tire, so then we had no vehicles. So then we had to get my partner's vehicle into the shop, and they finally had an opening at the shop so we could get it done. And yeah, so now we have my partner's vehicle again, and they were like, we're not going to get your car in yet. We were planning on having my car done in September so that I could start working at the Buckland Museum again mid-September, and then it was, okay, we'll definitely have it done so you can get back to work by October. October's busy month for witches, as you all know. So I was like, I will be back at the museum in October. But then my car still isn't done, so my partner was like, okay, I'll drive you. So that's what's happening. I started working again last weekend. Basically, I work there on the days that my partner has off from their job. And yeah, so I'll be there a little more often now than I used to be. And it's different now because of COVID-19 restrictions needing to be in place. It's all buy your ticket online in advance. You sign up for a specific time slot. And so it's less hectic in there. And Steven, the director, and I were both there this past Saturday. And so it worked really well because either if he was giving the tour, I was in the gift shop answering people's questions, or when everybody in the group is taking the tour, I was actually able to go through all the books in the gift shop and continue trying to organize them, because we mostly get secondhand books, so we never really know what's there. So we have to go through it and determine, okay, is this a book about Wicca? Okay, is this a book about some other type of paganism? Okay, it goes there. This is a book about meditation from an Eastern tradition standpoint, so that goes down here. So that's what I'm doing. My partner is a librarian. That is their job. They work for our local public library system. And then at the museum, I'm kind of the librarian there, because if I've had a chance to go through the books in that area, I pretty much know where they are. And so we don't really keep a ton of new books, although we do have a small section of newer titles that many people would know from Llewellyn and Weiser. And of course we stock Raymond Buckland's books, some of them, not all of them, but several of them that are published by Llewellyn. We have a few copies of at any given time. We have some Cunningham right now, but other than that, sometimes people come in and they'll say, do you have anything by this somewhat new author, or even just another author from the 80s or 90s. And it's like, no, not sometimes we do. It's just like, it depends on what we get in. And then if we used to have it and it's sold, we don't necessarily get another copy, because they're mainly like secondhand and used copies some of the time. That's not to say that we couldn't get specific books in if we knew that people really wanted them and wanted to get them through the shop. But, so that's a little tough. Basically, yeah, like going through and determining like what is this book even about sometimes is a little difficult because you can't tell from the title. So it's been nice having the tours kind of in time slots, because then I know everybody's here for their tour. Nobody else is going to be coming in for another hour, and if they do, we actually have to ask them to come back at another time, because we can't have more than a certain amount of people in the building because COVID-19 restrictions. I mean, that's always the case because fire code regulations, but it's even fewer people allowed during pandemic. So we have to keep it very structured and scheduled, which is actually kind of nice because it enabled me to get a lot of books organized just on Saturday. So when I go in tomorrow, I might even get through finishing all of the rest of the books. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. There's so much stuff that just needs to be done for a museum collection that can't get done if you are actively giving guided tours all day long. So some of the time when I am there, I take over giving the tours so that Steven can actually get some like housekeeping, like museum keeping, curating done. So it's nice to be back. It's weird. It's always weird. It's the Witchcraft Museum, but I kind of like the result of the schedule and the structure. And so I was actually saying the other day, like, I wish we could find sort of a happy medium, like incorporate some of this very organizedness of it, of what we have going on now, but also not have to be quite as restricted because of a deadly virus. Like if there's a middle ground there, I'd love it. We've also gotten several new things into the museum collection since I was there last. There's a completely different rotating art exhibit now. I completely missed one of them that happened over the summer. On the Buckland Museum website, I think you can see more about that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's just always fun like meeting local people, other people from elsewhere in Ohio, and letting them know about stuff that's around. And of course it's different this year because it'll be like, yeah, we normally do some classes. However, this year we have not been offering in-person classes. And yeah, there's this Pagan Pride event and that Pagan Pride event. However, this year nobody's having in-person gatherings. But it's always nice being able to like let people know, here's what you Google, or here's the Instagram account that you look for, or get in touch with me on Instagram or wherever. And because I like to be in touch with other local people. And then especially when people come to me and they're like, I'm from this other area of Ohio, and they're hours away from me, but I know other people in that area who are doing stuff, I can sort of help make connections. So I really like doing that too. But yeah, that's mostly what's been going on with me. Rearranging the house. My desk is actually in a place now where I've been able to use it, so I've been able to like sit there and do my notes while I'm reading these books. And it's also October, so it's spooky movie month, so my partner and I are watching spooky, scary movies every night. Some of them horror, but some of them just like spooky, some of them cutesy Halloween, whatever. Like last night we were watching The Witches, the 1990 with Angelica Houston, because we recently saw that there's going to be a remake of The Witches with Anne Hathaway and Octavia Spencer. So I was like, you have to watch the old one for sure, and it's on Netflix. So we started that last night. I have now seen Midsummer for the first time. That was weird. Some other like Netflix original stuff. And Velvet Buzzsaw. Yeah, we watched that one too. That was interesting. So yeah, we try to do that in October. We've been doing that every year since we got together, and my partner had always tried to do it before they met me too, so that's why we do it now. And we have not yet done one per day. Like we even one day this month missed a day, so then we watched two the next day kind of thing. So we try to keep it up so that we end up watching 31. Or I'm not really bothered if I don't end up watching 31, but my partner wants to, because there are some horror movies that they might really want to watch that I just can't watch. And like, I'm fine. I'm like, you can watch it. I'm just gonna go read a book instead. Like, I don't need to see this. So there are certain movies, like certain things that I just can't handle, and I just know that about myself. I have to know my limitations. So there are some things I can watch and just go, oh, okay, like at certain moments. But there are other things that it's just like, if I'm gonna be like this for most of the movie, I'm just gonna go do something else, you know? Like, I don't need that. Oh, I'm also gonna be streaming more myself this month. So my partner and I stream video games together sometimes. My partner streams by themselves much more regularly in general, but we sometimes stream together, or at least we used to stream together a lot more. But now, since our office streaming room is different, we don't have the couch in there anymore. We can't really sit together, and we only have one gaming chair. So I have a little chair in there that I can sit in, but it's much lower. So it's just kind of like I hang out in the background when we play games together. And we've done that. We've been playing this game. We have it on Nintendo Switch. I don't know if it's available on other platforms, called Spiritfarer. It's really cute, like cartoon art, but it's kind of loosely based in a bit of Greek mythology. Very first scene of the game, Cara retires and tells you, you are the new Spiritfarer. And so you get to play as a young person, spirit, and you also have a cat. So when you are playing 2-player, the second player, which is me, I get to play as the cat. And there are certain things that the cat cannot do, like the cat can't speak to other spirits, only the main player can actually talk, but the cat can do a lot of other things on the actual fairy. So yeah, you are the Spiritfarer. You ferry spirits to the other side, but you are responsible for like making them feel comfortable in their last days and helping them like finish their last dreams and whatever. And it's really cute and fun, and there's a lot of like farming aspects to it. Collecting resources or buying resources, growing things, and then using them to make other things. And, you know, so there's a lot of that. But there's also a lot of like real death and dying process and grieving like stuff about it. Each spirit you meet, like nothing is really said to you straight out and explicitly, but through conversations with the spirits, you learn more about their lives. You learn more about what their issue is, maybe why they haven't crossed over yet. You learn kind of, you know, some of them start to get really nostalgic or get angry or start to forget things. And so there's this very like touching, heart-wrenching realness about some of it, wrapped up in this like very extremely cute game. So that's one of the games that my partner and I play together sometimes. We did a couple of charity streams recently where my partner actually got into helping out 2 different organizations. It was 2 weekends in a row streaming to raise money for these different organizations. And one of them was for mental health kits, and the other was raising money for an organization called Vote Riders that helps people get IDs so that they can vote because of the voter ID laws. And for one of those, I think it was the only time that we streamed playing Spiritfarer together, but we play that game a lot. Just like, well, I wouldn't even say a lot, because it's a very relaxing game too. So if we play it too late at night, my partner just falls asleep. So we have to kind of pick the days that we want to play that. But I am going to be streaming myself more this month because one of our online friends from Belgium gifted me a copy on Steam of one of my favorite PC games that I have a physical disc of it, but our computer now is too new. It's not compatible with my old PC game discs. And I was really sad about that because I wanted to play some of my favorite kind of like spooky games for our stream. So one of my favorites is a game called Barrow Hill Curse of the Ancient Circle. It originally came out in 2006, and our friend gifted me a copy of it so that I can stream it this month. So I am going to be streaming it every other Saturday and Wednesday on the days when my partner works when I'm not at the Buckland Museum. So Saturdays and Wednesdays, if my partner is working, I am at home streaming Barrow Hill this month. And if I am working at the Buckland Museum, my partner is home streaming whatever they're going to be doing. So I'm going to be streaming Barrow Hill. And so there's going to be 4 days total that I'm streaming it this month. That should be enough to get through it, because the first time I played it when I was a teenager, when it first came out, I sat down and I beat it in 10 hours, just in one sitting. So I think 4 different, approximately 3-hour streams should be perfect. We'll get through it, plus chatting and whatever. And then I also play a game called Graveyard Keeper, which is kind of morbid and spooky, where you are a graveyard keeper. It's very similar to Stardew Valley, if you're familiar with that, but with like skulls and building pyres for cremating bodies and burying bodies and improving the quality of your graveyard and church. And because you're also the prior, so you give sermons on Sundays and make money through the donations of your parishioners. Like I don't know, but I also play that, and I also played The Sims 4, and my partner did gift me the Realm of Magic pack earlier this year, kind of for my birthday. And I already have the Vampires pack and the Spooky Stuff pack, so there is some sort of like magical, witchy, and witchy adjunct gameplay that I can do in The Sims 4 as well, and I've been playing it myself, but I haven't streamed it. I haven't streamed Sims in quite a while, probably like since last year. I don't know if I'll be doing either of those games, or if I'll just focus on Barrow Hill this month and do those other games another time. I don't know, but anyway, that's another thing that I do. I stream video games with my partner. So that's the update, and my phone's about to die, so I'm gonna go. Thanks so much for watching and or listening to this video. I will see you when I see you. Until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye. I hope you're having a happy October so far.